The only time I can remember being with Mum and Dad was 3 months of my life. 2 years after we were removed, Mum passed on. What she said to us, I don't think I ever forgave her. Your mother's dead, get on with your work.
On the 1st of January 1901, a federation composed of the 6 Australian colonies was achieved after a decade of planning, resulting in the establishment of the Commonwealth of Australia. But it wasn't just any nation. It was explicitly designed to be a white man's country. This dream of unity came with a dark foundation, tying the Australian Federation in separately to one of the most damaging policies in Australian history, the White Australia policy. Federation had been attempted before 1901, but previous efforts had failed for one reason or another. Earlier attempts, such as the 1883 Federal Council and Park's 1889 to 1891 push, were trapped in political disputes, particularly over economic differences between free trade New South Wales and protectionist Victoria. The breakthrough came in 1893 at the Corowa Conference, which bypassed Parliament entirely. Delegates were elected directly by the people, and the final plan went into referendum, transforming the Federation from an elite political negotiation to a popular democratic project. But it wasn't just democracy that shaped this new nation, it was also white nationalism. Federation was imagined as a country of one stock or blood or race, with Aboriginal peoples assumed to be dying out, and so did not register in national vision. This exclusionary view became law almost immediately. The Immigration Restriction Act of 1901 established the White Australia policy, using discriminatory dictation tests to essentially block non-European migration and codifying racial hierarchy. The White Australia policy didn't just shape migration, it reshaped society. Asian and Pacific Islander workers who had contributed to industries like sugar and gold mining were suddenly unwelcome, denied entry, or forced to leave. Policies like these normalised exclusionary attitudes and embedded them into Australian institutions. Social hierarchies were reinforced, privileging white Australians while marginalising non-white communities for generations. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples were almost entirely excluded from their national identity, leaving their histories and contributions invisible. Even after the policy was beginning to dismantle after the Second World War and officially put to an end in the 1970s, its effects still lingered. Economic opportunities, social inclusion, and cultural recognition still remain limited for non-white Australians, and debates over immigration, multiculturalism, and national identity still reflect its everlasting legacy. White Australia was more than just a policy, it was an idea that shaped the nation and how it saw itself and who belonged. Today, Australia is officially multicultural, and migration policies are designed to be inclusive. Symbolic acts such as Kevin Rudd's 2008 national apology to the stolen generations acknowledge past wrongs. But these gestures, while important, are not enough. Deep-seated inequities persist. First Nations peoples experience disproportionate incarceration, poor health outcomes, and systemic barriers in education and employment. These challenges are not just individual or cultural, they are a structural legacy of a century of exclusionary policies like the White Australia policy. Understanding this history requires us to listen to voices that were historically silenced. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, along with migrant groups directly impacted by early restrictions, are increasingly central to conversations about identity, justice, and reconciliation. Contemporary analysis highlights that Australia's past racial inequities are not just footnotes. They are embedded in our institutions, social practices, and collective attitudes. Recognizing this is essential if Australia is to move beyond just symbolic gestures and achieve real structural change. I would love to sit here and say some lines about, don't worry, Australia isn't racist anymore. While racism was just in the past. Kevin Rudd said sorry after all.
It's okay, guys. He said he's sorry.
I'm sorry.
But unfortunately, it's just a lot more complicated than that. Deep-seated issues still exist within society, and while there has been progress, it's difficult to say whether we'll truly overcome them, at least within our lifetimes. These problems aren't just remnants of history, they're embedded in our systems, our institutions, and sometimes our everyday interactions. Like I said earlier, we still see disproportionate rates of incarceration, health disparities, and systemic barriers facing our First Nations people, as well as many other marginalised groups. And progress isn't just about these symbolic gestures, it's about sustained structural change. And unless we as a country are willing to confront these truths head on, no apology, no matter how sincere, will be enough for us to move forward. I feel like this section has really harped on about Kevin Rudd's apology. I think it was a good thing. I think Kevin Rudd's apology was a great step forward. But the problem is, it feels like white Australia kind of just thinks that's where this conversation ends. We said sorry, we need to just move past it. Understanding how the White Australia policy shaped our national identity, economy, and society allows us to critically engage with our present and make informed choices for the future. Australia's past is not just a story of legislation or political milestones, it's a story of real lives affected by exclusion and discrimination. Recognizing this is essential if we want one people, one nation to truly include all Australians, regardless of race, heritage, or background. I don't mean to ruin the tone of this, but the sock is a pop filter.